So another area, another challenge when we return back to the trade show floor is how are we going to make touchscreens safe again? As an AV partner to you, this is something that we spent a great deal of time thinking about and coming up with ideas. We believe that most exhibitors have invested a great deal of time and money in content creation for touchscreens, and repurposing or redoing that content in a different technology might be challenging and it might even be very expensive. We also think that attendees are just used to touch, right? It has become second nature with all of our mobile devices. We're just used to interacting in that very obvious way of touching on the device and making it navigate the content that you're interested in seeing. So we don't think that sanitizing an entire screen, like this 86-inch touchscreen behind me, is really going to be very practical. If you look at the labels of almost every sanitizing wipe or chemical out there, the surfaces have to remain wet with that chemical for several minutes in order to make sure that you've effectively killed COVID or the flu or any of the other viruses and bacteria out there. If you have a very popular interactive, let's say it's a game with a leaderboard and something that's fairly competitive, we don't think attendees are going to want to wait minutes at a time for their turn. Heck, it's hard to even get them in our booth for a few minutes, let alone to stand and wait while the chemical dries on the screen. So how do we combat that? How do we engage attendees without having to go through a process like that? And we've come up with several different ideas that we think can help combat that. The first idea is very inexpensive, really only a penny or two a piece, and it's something that we borrowed from the banking industry. And they're just simply fingertip covers. So at the bank, they put these fingertip covers on their fingers to count money and to touch money that comes into the bank. They can just be put on the fingertip and used to navigate the content, and when the attendee's done, they can throw it away or recycle it. But it's something that literally costs pennies a piece, and it's not something that's going to break your budget to allow you to continue to have that kind of content, that kind of interactivity that people are used to on the trade show floor. Another idea that we've come up with is just to use a stylus. Styluses are available in many, many different shapes and sizes. They can be branded with your logo, your messaging, and they're super fantastic as a giveaway item. We think going into next year that these are going to be things that attendees will seek out on the show floor. It's a giveaway, a premium of high perceived value, in my opinion. So you just take the tip and touch on the screen and use that to interact with the content. Then you give this away to the attendee, and it's something they can go around the rest of the exhibit floor and interact with other people's activities. And they can take it back to the hotel, maybe touch elevator buttons and that kind of thing with it. So we think it's a super practical giveaway. You can get these in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors, something you kind of personalize and make your own for your particular brand. If you are an industry, let's say healthcare, that cannot give away items, you can also create just a rotating system of used and clean styluses. For users that have already used a stylus, you can simply use a UV sterilizer like this. You open the door, set the stylus in, and it automatically starts to sanitize those devices. It'll take between 1 and 2 minutes, depending on the power of the light in the box. So you can very easily come up with a rotation system to keep your sanitizing needs up to date. The other thing, though, that we thought that, these are things that require the attendee to change their behavior. And we think, at least from the research so far, it's not that touchscreens are necessarily a bad thing. You don't get COVID by touching the surface of a touchscreen. You can potentially contract COVID by touching a surface, then touching your face, your eyes, your nose. So we have another solution that I think is a more practical solution that puts the power in the hands of the attendee to sanitize themselves once they're done interacting with the content. So if I see a screen, I touch it, I navigate the content, and when I'm done, I have access to a hand sanitizer right next to the screen. I simply pump the dispenser, I dispense the chemical in my hands, and I can use that to sanitize myself right after I finish navigating the interface. We think this is a great idea because it allows the attendee to have immediate access. They don't have to fumble around in their bag for their own personal stash, or maybe try to find a detail counter somewhere in the booth where you might have a hand sanitizer placed. It gives immediate access to the chemical that they can use to clean up after they've touched the device and move on to somewhere else in the booth or somewhere else on the show floor without having to worry about it. So we really like this solution. It's very low profile. It actually comes in silver. We use just regular vinyl to make it black so it wouldn't compete visually with the screen. We've had some people that say, oh, I thought it was a sound bar sitting there. So it's very low profile. It's not very distracting, and it provides immediate access to the hand sanitizer for the attendee.